Again, thanks for the wait. I don't know what you're doing in Atlanta, but down here in Tampa, in addition to cleaning up, I mean, I wish I had my camera today. 99.1 WDJY. You won't be able to see that, but you know that we're also on Facebook, and that's what I was just doing. Was finally loading the channels for today. I just got to turn my headphones down just one second. Loading the channels for today, and it's just, oh, my house is torn apart. I've lost my studio. I've lost my house, and I'm about to lose it again. That's right. I'm about to lose everything again for the second time in as many weeks. So now my project will be to whatever I did manage to save, to include, obviously, as you're hearing, some computer equipment, microphones, etc. I'm going to have to try to save them again and probably this time take them with me. Only because while this one won't have any flooding, at least where I'm at, because I'm projected to be north of the storm, or where it's going to hit the Tampa Bay area. If it wobbles a little bit and comes up, I'm screwed. If it continues to pick up, yesterday it was a category 2. By about 7:30 this morning, I received the CNN email that I get a couple times a day. Just one of the many news services. But the one I remember was CNN around 7:39, something like that. Category 3. About an hour and a half ago, I received a text from my county emergency system. Category 4. And it's coming. And what that all means probably is that it's also picked up speed, which can be a good thing, and that it's going to rip the Band-Aid off, essentially. But I want to get started so bad on building a bigger, safer hurricane structure. And that, I mean, that way, that's WFLA. Yeah, we're going to put that on in a minute. They're actually live right now the way it looks. So 99.1 WDJY, Yerg's Radio, Rainbow Radio, America One Radio, and all of the Mastiff Media Network. Hurricane Milton. Now, here's the joke behind that, and I do mean this comically. When Helene hit, my dad was all gung-ho. Excuse me, still is. All gung-ho and coming down to help. He said, I'll be right down after Helene. What do you think his middle name is? Irvin Milton Yerger is indeed on the way. It's not in the fashion we all hoped. And I got to get some show notes here and talk about the rest of the day. 2 very quick hours. Then I got to figure out how to secure 50,000 pounds of jet skis, or I'm sorry, $50,000 worth of jet skis that are still in the water. I can't get out because I've got to work on them. I don't even know if they float safely right now. And yeah. So transition from Helene to Milton. I'll tell you a bunch of stories from folks I've heard. Today, today is the Anniversary. I didn't even want to say anniversary. What I'm saying is 1 year in on the of the Palestinian attack on Israeli kibbutzes. I think that's what it is. Shady. No. And my studio was uprooted out of the studio. My whole living space right now is my garage. I was able to clean that out the safest and fastest and easiest to make it livable. So, what equipment I was able to salvage and clean up and get operational, shout out to Tim's Custom Computers. We'll be talking about him today, too, of Newport Richie, who's about to get decked. Now I'm sleeping in my garage. I'm eating in my garage. My computer desk is a fold-up table that I bought with what little money I've got left. Yeah. But don't forget, this is a political show, so we'll be talking about Republican hypocrisy at some point. Again, or still. Pierre's pot, Mirror Mirror Mondays, both sides now. Hang on for that. But for there we go. I'm trying to find. I'm just scroll through my notes. We still have no camera today. Oh, you know what? Let me do that too. For those on video. I don't have a camera, but I got to put like some visual up. There we go. I'm gonna just let that there. Pierre's pot, dedicated to Pierre Robert. I don't think that's on this. I've got this cut and paste thing from the other shows, from the other show notes. Monday show notes is different. So I'll just go what I remember. Pierre Robert was a San Francisco disc jockey who, in effort to get one of his local buddies to college, helped move said buddy across the country in Minerva. I wonder if we've had a Hurricane Minerva. What year that was. Moved his buddy to Philadelphia to go to college. While there, applied to a awesome station, rock station, been rock since this point and still is, 93.3 WMMR in Philadelphia. Sent a tape to a guy named Joe Bonadonna. Say that real fast, then you'll pronounce it right. Joe said no. Pierre's living it up as a tourist in the city of brotherly love. When he hits the famous South Street, meets up with a medium, says, "Go home. You have a letter waiting for you. It's very important." He interprets home as San Francisco. So he heads back to his place in Philly with his friend, gets ready to Minerva, checks the mail that's there, and waiting is a letter from MMR. That was 43 years ago. And he's been there ever since. He does a thing called Pierre's, well, I don't know what he calls it, but he does a toast in the direction of a good citizen. Good citizens are his listeners. And a toast is a toast of the morning sauce, also known as coffee. So we've stolen that. And if you see the graphic right now, Pierre's pot is a pot of coffee. However, he's also a 69-year-old hippie. So as such, that leafy plant behind the pot of coffee that's rather colorful and you'll see rainbow might also be kind of sort of relevant. Today's pot, or today's toast, actually. I don't think I'm supposed to do that first, but I'm just going down the list and knocking all these out now. Today's toast is to Pasco, Pinellas, Hillsborough, and other first responders, city like Port Richey, Newport Richey, St. Pete, Clearwater, Tampa, wherever, because they have their hands full. I've been hit by I've been hit by Helene, lost almost everything. Now we're about to be hit by Milton, and I may or may not lose even more. And I'm actually loading up uh, WFLA. We'll share that. Um, okay, so wow, this thing grew so fast, and we'll get to that in a second. I promise you, we will. We got to. A hurricane update for those listening in this area, for those who realize how big this is growing, and will still be in the arms of the thing. But I've lost almost everything. The house is insured. I thought belongings were, and I found out the hard way that is not the truth. That is not the case. And now we get another one. And this is going to be another one. What I mean by that, the first hurricane, I'm making a claim on flood insurance. The second one, this one that's coming this week, I may be making an additional claim on hurricane insurance. Because I'm getting hammered by both. And maybe the dual claim will enable me to replace some of the interior things that I've lost that I shouldn't have, or well, that I shouldn't have worried about replacing. Because I canceled a policy with USAA, which was irrelevant, and I was getting double banged, or I thought I was getting double banged for. Turns out I'm not, because it's not. I don't know. An adjuster's coming today. He's going to explain at least some of it. Yeah, it's a mess here. And my point is, by choosing also law enforcement, sheriff, police, state police, whatever the law enforcement agency. I forgot this too. We got to have a little comedy.
Wake up, goddammit!
Okay, just so I'm not droning on here, making sure you're still with us. Fire and rescue. And I'm seeing that in all realistic lifestyle, there's other first responders too. People that have been feeding me all week, and others. And I've been able, for the most part, to be able to feed myself mostly. But in doing so much and trying to clean up and get the house looking somewhat organized, so when it is time to rip out walls, it's a quick process. And you look and it's 11 o'clock at night. Your dogs haven't been fed. You haven't been fed. These guys are going through those same things at home, but they're not home. They're here protecting us and providing medical assistance to people who are having issues after the fact, after they've been rescued. So today, Pierre's pot is a toast of the morning sauce in the direction of all these first responders, medical professionals, volunteers, you name it. Just let that list grow. Let it grow. And really appreciate what they do for you, whether you see it or not. And I made a life of watching people. I know what it's like. to do some pretty cool stuff, and nobody have any idea that it's been done. That's not what we're here for. We're not here for the pat on the back that these people deserve. We're here to do those things that need to be done. So today's toast of that morning sauce, Dunkin' Donuts as always. No cream today. I didn't even risk buying any, as I would now probably be losing it again. Just sugar, black. To every first responder, law enforcement officer, volunteer, medical professional who's dealing with the same things we're all dealing with at home, but you're in at work. I got a friend, Andy, who works at an old folks home over the weekends. And he might be called in this week just because he can get there. And just the realization that we all need to say yes to that help. What is that? Oh, well, I wish I could get beamed, but I just changed the graphic on my screen. There's something I didn't even know was there. So, yeah, toast of the morning. Sorry I'm sounding morbid today, but I'm exhausted. Yesterday, I fell asleep in the parking lot of Walmart. Didn't know I was asleep. I woke up with my phone in my hand, like perhaps I was about to get out of the car. And I was out cold. I'm just trying to figure out how many people got a chance to walk by and laugh at me. Let's get rid of morning motivation, too. We were supposed to do that first before the Pierre spot, but today we're motivated by Chester Bennington, the late Chester Bennington. I got to get rid of something here over the logos over the top of. There we go. The late Chester Bennington was the lead singer of Linkin Park, Stone Temple Pilots, one of the singers on Stone Temple Pilots. I can't think of the other guy that was there. And also another one called Dead by Sunrise. There's a nonviolent way to express yourself and get your point across, regardless of what you're saying or what your point is. In a free society, people have a right to believe whatever they want to believe. That's their business, and they can speak their mind. But nobody, even in a free society, has the right to take another person's life, ever. That's something that we really need to move beyond. The late Chester Bennington, singer, Linkin Park, Stone Temple Pilots, Dead by Sunrise. Yeah, and that has to do with some of the... It's a little... For what I'm moving into with that, it's a little... I don't want to say stretch, but it's a little... what's the words I'm looking for? Morphed, maybe? I don't know. But I'm just so sick of getting emails. And I'm getting them from both sides because I subscribe to them. I want to know what these asshats are saying. And I think you know where I'm going. I'm so sick of emails that are with regards to this election or that election or this campaign or that campaign or whatever. I'm like, get over yourselves. I'm sick of seeing Republicans email saying, I'm saving you from the liberal left and the extreme left. And like, you're not extreme? Have you seen what Donald Trump's been up to? I just got to send this email. It's the link for Jane. Have you seen what Donald Trump's been up to? We're working to save the liberal left, but I need your help now. You needed my help now last week. And that's why I think there needs to be restrictions on... I know you're getting into a constitutional thing as far as things like gather peacefully and so on. But there needs to be regulation on what these different campaigns can and cannot do with regards to being up our ass. Now, because I pretty much get it, I know what everybody's saying that I've been reporting on. I'm trying to eliminate text messages, emails, and you report one as spam and you get it from another one. I just stopped doing that. And in effort to not let it bother me, I just delete it and move on. But what is so frustrating is when I see these people blatantly lying. Ted Cruz, for example, is worried about the fact that he's now in a tighter race. He might have even been passed. At one point he was. By Colin Allred, the liberal Democrat. No, he's not. He's actually not liberal. He might be progressive, which for a fake Bible thumper like Ted Cruz could also be misinterpreted as liberal. But progress is not a bad thing. So now the GOP, the grand old party, because that's a name you want to stick with, doesn't like progressive because they didn't get to have it. If Democrats were liberal, maybe Republicans should have got off their ass and claimed progressive for themselves. We're going to move you forward towards the Bible because that's what they're trying to do. I'm a person of God. I'm not a person of religion. I'm not a person of cults. Jesus was not a cult leader. He was an independent. He had followers, but people who openly chose to follow him. They're not forced. They're not guilted into it. I've been invited to Bible studies in my community. And when I wasn't able to make it, I was the bad guy. No, I'm just not interested in you pushing. For a while, and I got to get back into it, I really want to, I would take a walk first thing every morning out to the water, about 4 blocks, long blocks. It's essentially a 1.5 mile round trip. And I know that because I measured it, because that's the distance we used to have to run for a PT test in the Secret Service. But that was, what I had to do there. And that's my church service every day. The Bible says, remember the Sabbath day and keep it holy. It doesn't say to go to church. It doesn't say to kiss some priest's ass. It says, remember the Sabbath day and keep it holy. That's it. And so when you take so many different things, and Chester's talking about gun violence because he said this in response to the shooting of Gabby Giffords. But there's also this guilt trip that both sides are putting on. We need your help now. Really? Who'd you pay to send this email to me? How about just saying what your platform is? Everybody just asking for money and asking for money and asking for money. Why don't you tell me something in the email that's true? That's about you. News break. What do we got? What's happening? Evacuations already ordered for Charlotte and Sarasota counties. That's south of Tampa Bay. That's good news for us, but I mean, it's still bad news. So, I mean, yeah, I'm not staying either. I don't know if we're going to have tomorrow's show. This one may all be packed up and put in the van somewhere, somehow. I'm taking clothing, taking a cooler, which also I have to clean out today. This is tiring. I'm not talking about doing a radio show or live stream. I'm talking about just dealing with this every day. And now dealing with another one, just for good measure. Now let's check in on WFLA. This is JB Bueno, the guy who graduated from wherever it was that he graduated from. And Eric Stone, one of the meteorologists. These guys are great. I've learned so much about hurricanes and weather in general. Got an overlay to take down here. There we go. Boo. I gotta come over here and unmute it. There we go. All right. Eric Stone, meteorologist. JB Bueno, anchor.
You're talking about this graphic.
Let's go full screen.
So now the GFS yesterday had the storm pretty close to Crystal River in the Nature Coast. That has come down.
You know what, Eric? Actually, can you take us through it at the wall? Perhaps I'll bring up your wireless mic if you have a second. Because is it off? Oh, okay. My apologies.
I can still go.
Because perhaps we can show people how these models have changed. Eric's throwing on the mic here, folks. I did not see that he took it off.
Yeah, just trying to save battery life. But yeah, so
what they're talking
basically, so the GFS model is a lot further south, which I didn't expect it to be this far north. I'm not really sure why. What the GFS was looking at, it was looking at this being really picked up by that jet and just brought well to the north. So this now is more like Pasco and northern Pinellas County, which again is a really bad scenario for us. The European model hasn't really changed. The Icon, which is the German model, hasn't changed at all. The AI Euro is slightly north, mainly in Sarasota County, and the Canadian model is slightly north into Charlotte County. So some of these have nudged slightly to the north, and again, that is why the National Hurricane Center has shifted that cone slightly to the north as well. But the outlier, which is the one here, the GFS model, this one is a lot further to the south. And again, I just did not see a landfall in the Nature Coast or the Big Bend area. It didn't make sense to me. So again, this is a little bit further to the south, Pasco County, northern Pinellas County. And this GFS model right now would be pretty much the worst case scenario, because this would just drive that water right into Tampa Bay. And I bet we would see 10 to 14 foot of storm surge, JB.
All right, thanks, Eric. I appreciate it. Just because those we'll try to update that graph. That graphic's been really helpful for people, and we can show the different models. And what we will see, folks, is what we call model consensus. The models will start to align more. It's just going to be, look, which one had it right from the beginning? Is it going to be the GFS, which is the American model? Is it going to be the Euro? Jeff Bardelli, our chief meteorologist, loves the German model, thinks that it doesn't get enough credit for the times that it's right. Not represented on there is our in-house model. So there's a lot, of course, to break down as far as the models. Now, these
are updated.
These spaghetti models, how many of them are there? There's got to be at least 20 here, maybe?
Yeah. Some are what we call ensemble. So like all the pinks are, one model, but the blacks are usually what we focus on, because the black is what's called consensus. And people say, oh, what's that? So really the definition of consensus is really the average, right? So when we look at the average of the big models, we actually see a slight southerly shift, right? So the one consensus model is pretty much right through Tampa Bay. The other one is even south of Bradenton, south of Longboat Key, Anna Maria Island area. So let's see if these consensus models, which have been going north and south over the past couple of days. Yesterday morning, when I was on WFLA News Channel 8 at 9 o'clock, I mean, these two black models were almost right over Sarasota. And I thought, all right, maybe this is starting to shift southward in the models. But again, it shifted back to the north. And that's what happens, right? That's what happens with the models, the evolution of the storm. Again, the cone didn't even have that southeasterly motion toward the Yucatan. And now, obviously, it's moving east-southeast, which is what Jeff and I talked about last night. So you can see the consensus models are on Tampa Bay or slightly to the south. So again, I'm still, if I were to bet on this, I would still say that Milton would make landfall slightly south of Tampa Bay itself, which would be a heck of a lot better storm surge-wise. But there's still so much time. I mean, you look at our in-house model, and it's showing Thursday morning landfall. No, I mean, there's still a lot that can happen, JB.
Let's continue on with the Q&A. Shannon wants to know, hashtag hey, JB and Eric. Again, use one of those hashtags to be in the comment queue. What does it look like for the Tarpon Springs area?
Yeah, I'm going to be going there tonight. You know what?
You're going to Tarpon Springs tonight?
I am. Yep. We have a pinball get-together one Monday night every month, and tonight happens to be the night. And, of course, I'll be giving my forecast to a bunch of people that are, living around that area from Newport Richey down to Clearwater. Tarpon Springs appears to be on the north side of the storm. Don't think we're going to see the storm surge in Tarpon Springs, but if you're in that northern eye wall, boy, I mean, you're looking at 100+ mile per hour wind and wind gust over 120, and you're also looking at a good 8 to 10 inches of rain. So even though the wind will be pushing the water out of the area in Pinellas County, which again is the best case scenario, the wind, the destruction of 120, 130 mile per hour wind gusts, especially if you're in a mobile home. And that's the one thing, JB, when people say, I'm in this town, what can I expect? Which is most of the questions, right? But, normally I say, well, you'll get tropical storm force wind, blah, 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 blah. But now it's getting so strong that it depends on what kind of structure you're in. So maybe I can put a request out for some questions that when you say, hey, am I okay here? Am I okay here? Tell me what kind of structure you're in. Because if you're in a concrete home and you have your hurricane shutters up, hurricane-proof glass, a roof that's bolted down with the roof straps, I'd say you're a lot more safer than if you're in a mobile home or a modular home or an RV park.
Stephen Weiss, hashtag hey, Eric, if it hits around more specifics here. I guess what we're asking for, folks, we'll come back to the question rather than, hey, Pasco update, please.
Right.
Pasco's big. And Pasco's also, look, there's coastal communities in Pasco. There's inland communities. That doesn't really do too much for us and doesn't give our meteorologists the ability to really help you. Help us help you is what we're trying to say. So if you can give us some specifics, please do that. Also, I should point out, I've had a lot of people texting me today asking, hey, look, we're, saying we're probably going to evacuate. We're looking at evacuating, some folks that aren't in evacuation zones, but just don't want to take the chance, don't want to be anywhere near the storm. That, of course, is completely up to you. And, they say, what direction should we head in? If you're in the Tampa Bay area, and Eric, you can let me know if I'm giving good advice or not. I'm saying head southeast. I'm saying head, look at Fort Lauderdale as a potential area, or even down to Miami. Try to find a spot down to the southeast. Or the other way, if you're kind of more north, let's say you're up in Pasco County, let's say you're in Crystal River, head to the Panhandle, Tallahassee, Pensacola, Destin, get up in that direction, and you'll be away from the storm.
Here's a really good, not to interrupt, but here's a really good graphic showing the National Hurricane Center most likely wind. Okay, so now if you go to the southeast. Now, obviously, this storm's not going to be as big as Helene. It's going to get bigger as it gets closer because of the interaction with the jet. But I want to show, all right? So you see the tropical storm force wind really not even hardly reaching Broward County. I wouldn't even go, I mean, I think West Palm Beach southward, you're okay. But what I'm saying is, look at that yellow circle. You see where Miami is. This doesn't even come close to Miami. It doesn't really come close to Fort Lauderdale. As far as north, Tallahassee's on the very top of your screen, and the winds don't quite get to tropical storm force in Tallahassee. So I would say the safest places to be would be Tallahassee westward, or south of West Palm Beach, Boca Raton, Pompano Beach, Delray Beach, down to Miami, down to Fort Lauderdale. And even that inland community right around Coral Springs and Sunrise, if you know that area, because you're not going to see the tropical storm force
Sorry,
anywhere near that area. Now, you could see gusts over 40 miles an hour, but
here at Pasco.
Eric, I'm stepping off the mic
Where
for
am I
30
in
seconds.
Pasco?
Take a,
okay.
Yeah,
So, you might see tropical storm force wind gusts in that area, but you're going to be a lot safer. If it were me, you might be safe in Orlando, right? But I would not go to Orlando because this is making a beeline to Orlando. And, you figure if this moves pretty close to Lakeland, pretty close to Orlando, I mean, look at that track right there. The eye would just be pretty much over Orlando or just to the south. So you're going to be in hurricane force wind. And you can see the damaging wind in the orange shading. You don't want to be anywhere near that. That's 60 mile per hour or more. And that's a broad area of 60 mile per hour wind. So, if you're going along I-4 anywhere, that's not where I'd be evacuating because that is what appears the track of this storm is going to take. As JB said, I would go south of West Palm Beach, Fort Lauderdale, Miami. And boy, isn't it ironic that we're saying during a major hurricane, go to Miami? I mean, when do you ever say that?
Where the National Hurricane Center is located, by the way.
Right, exactly. You never, ever say that. Or if you really want to be safe, go to Pensacola. You've got nothing to worry about in Pensacola, right? Go to the Panhandle, drive 5 or 6 hours, and take I-10 west and go west to Tallahassee, and you'll be just fine.
I'd like to point out something, Stephen. We're coming to your comment here. I'd like to share something. I said earlier that there is another way now that we can bring in questions to our stream, and we've never done this before. This is going to be the first time that we're ever going to try to pull this off, but we kind of set this up during our Helene coverage to kind of get to this point. For folks out there that are that want to ask a question, but perhaps punching it into your keyboard is not the most effective way, or perhaps you would like a different way to ask us a question, we're going to now have people be able to kind of, in essence, call in. Wow. Kind of call into the program. We are going to give this a go. We've never tried this before. It's kind of a first time for us. But you can go to WFLA.com/reportit and send in a video question, like a selfie question. And we're going to be spotlighting these not only here on stream, but tonight on WFLA News Channel 8. We're going to try to get to a few. So how this works, it's very simple. If you take a selfie video and you say, hey, JB, hey, Eric, tell us where you're watching from, and then ask, of course, your question. And we'll be able to, on this live stream, hopefully in the coming minutes, if we get in, several,
do that to the phone.
somewhat soon, we'll be able to spotlight some video questions, people kind of calling into the program. It allows us to spotlight you guys wherever you're watching from. It allows us to get more context with the question that is being presented. Just take as long as it's appropriate, obviously, for live stream, just take your selfie video and then send it in to WFLA.com/reportit. I'll see it pop into the queue here, and we'll spotlight a few of them on the live stream. Never done before, Eric. We'll give it a go.
Now, can you see, obviously you're going to vet these. Can you see what they're saying? Like, does it come up as a caption for you?
The WFLA team in the newsroom's helping me with this a little bit.
I got you. Okay, that's a really cool feature.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
So we kind of set this up, everybody. If you'll remember, we set this up with people being able to send in selfies to the show. This was, I think, let's see here. This was... Oh, hold on. Hit this button.
Last night?
This was Miguel watching our stream last night. We lost count how many views this got, but there were a lot of people watching. So Miguel was watching in Brooksville. And again, people, you can always send in selfies our way. Some smiling faces out there to be able to spotlight some of the folks that are watching Tracking the Tropics, and make sure that you have your hurricane.
All right, so by the time it gets back to us, should be a Category 3, which is manageable. But this thing's projected to get, if you're just joining, yesterday, this was a Category 2 already. Ahead of schedule. 2 hours ago, 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 2 hours ago This morning, I got an email from CNN saying that it would become a Category 3 overnight. 3.5 hours from that email, before we went on the air today, it was already a Category 4. By the end of the day, it's going to be a Category 5, which is the biggest that they measure. There's no Category 6. And the fortunate thing is that it's going through waters already churned up by Helene, which means there's cooler water. So almost as soon as it hits 5, it's going to come back down to 4 and 3 when it hits us, wherever it hits us. So that's the latest. I don't know that we're going to be on tomorrow because of, evacuating plans and things that we got to do. We'll see what happens. But I may need that hour to do God knows what. But yeah, so moving on. Up next, Jane's waiting backstage. I'm going to take a quick break, and then we'll bring Jane out, and we'll have both sides now. 99.1 WDJY, Yerg's Radio, America One Radio, and the rest of the Master Media Network. We'll be back after this.
Do you have a podcast? Of course you do. It's probably one of the reasons why you listen to us. Well, I got something for you. Flowsend.ai. All you do is take your pre-recorded data, click, drag, and drop right into the inbox for Flowsend AI. Click a button, and out comes everything that you're going to need. From the transcript to content, such as keywords, titles for your episode, the timeline, posts for LinkedIn, posts for Twitter, Instagram, other smaller platforms, all the things that it takes you hours to do in literally minutes. So go to flowsend.ai. Tell them Yerg sent you and get your subscription today. Worth every penny. Flowsend.ai.
Is the only president in American history who has refused to guarantee the peaceful transfer of power.
Joe Biden.
He lost the election and he knew it.
To become the president.
He betrayed millions of Americans by telling them the election was stolen.
Stop the steal.
He ignored the rulings of dozens of courts. Rather than accept his defeat, he mobilized a mob to come to Washington and march on the Capitol. Then he watched on television while the mob attacked law enforcement, invaded the Capitol, and hunted the vice president. He refused for 3 hours to tell the mob to leave. There has never been a greater dereliction of duty by any president. Trump was warned repeatedly that his plans for January 6th were illegal. He didn't care, and today he celebrates those who attacked our Capitol. Donald Trump has proven he is unfit for office. Donald Trump is a risk America can never take again.
All right, so I was in the process of bringing up my phone. I don't know why that crapped out, but Jane and I, when we do this together, we even when we were, hold on, I knew that was going to happen. There we go. Even though we were an audio-only podcast, we still did cameras so we could see each other's facial expressions. Well, this is 2 days in a row. I'm not using a camera. So now I'm going to use a camera because I'm actually joining through video from my cell phone. Let's see if this works. I already had what's called a loop when you have that annoying sound. So there's me. Let's get the microphone out of my face. And now my lovely counterpart.
Hi.
let's see.
It's been forever since I've seen you, and so much has happened in your life. Oh my God, I'm sure you've been talking about it quite a lot whenever you can on air, but I don't know anything about your situation, and I'm just happy to see you. So I can't hear you speaking to me. Just so you know, maybe you can hear me, but I can't hear you.
How about now?
There you go. Welcome back. Anyway.
So that bottom,
Yes.
that bottom logo that you see on the screen up the middle, that's me. That's where
Yeah.
you're hearing me from, that channel. You're
Okay.
seeing me on my phone, but that's muted because that caused that loop that you heard a second ago.
Gotcha.
So when I took that off, then it took my microphone off too, which is kind of a problem because.
Well, it's just wonderful to see you. I'm so glad you
Likewise.
survived, and
So far.
yeah. So you've got another one coming. That's really frightening yet again. So
I don't know what you could hear backstage, but it's currently overnight. It was a 2. Over the weekend, it was already a 2. It wasn't supposed to leave the weekend being nothing more than a tropical storm, and it already went to category 2.
Mm-hmm.
Overnight and into this morning, it was upgraded to a 3. Before we even came on the air today, it was upgraded to a 4. By the end of, I don't know, I saw that on the map and I didn't see the timestamps by each phase, but soon it's going to be a category 5. That's as
Where
big as
are
they get.
you? Where are you?
So I'm in the Tampa Bay.
Well, I know you're in Tampa Bay area, but are you in your home? Are you at a neighbor's
I'm in my
home?
garage. Yep.
Okay.
I spent the first night of Helene. I went to a dear friend who I had not met yet.
Oh my goodness.
We were in broadcasting and podcasting together. He's down in St. Pete. He's coming out of TV news. So he would have produced shows like what we just saw.
Okay.
Something just happened there. I want to see what well, there's us.
There you go.
Eyewall, you're not going to experience those wind speeds over, say 100 miles per hour. But still, a hurricane force wind is likely in Pasco County and also in Hernando County. Not for obviously as long a period of time with the given track right through Tampa Bay. But again, if this jogs to the north and takes more of the GFS model, which I don't think it's going to do, then Pasco and Hernando would get a lot more in the way of wind.
Let's continue on in the queue and spotlight a couple more. And
my question was essentially the same thing. There it is. See that? Watch that. See that?
I think that
4,
we
5.
are.
You see how fast it went from 3 to 4 to 5?
Oh no, we got a few more. I'm sorry, Jamie. You're up next, and then Gabriella. You've been very patient. We'll get you guys
across the second half of the Atlantic. Across the second half of the Atlantic, or excuse me, of the Gulf, as a 4, it'll come right back down. And then
you must be exhausted.
I was telling it before you jumped on. I was telling a story about how yesterday Mom called, and just as we all 3 of us, me and the 2 dogs, woke up from a nap. That was my second nap in about as many hours, because the first one was in the front seat of my minivan in the Walmart parking lot. I woke up, doing that whole slobbering on yourself thing. I woke up holding my phone in my hand. What actually woke me up was that I dropped it and I heard it hit the floor. And I did that whole, where am I? What just happened?
Wow.
And I just started laughing because I could only imagine the people who are walking by my car, parked in the relatively close enough to the front door. So there's got to be a good crowd of people walking past it, seeing me passed out in the front seat of my car in the middle of the day. It's not like I've been drinking and it's late at night or something like that. No, it was late morning, early afternoon, something like that.
Wow. It must be a common sight these days in your area, given how many other people like yourself are exhausted from surviving.
Yeah, my one neighbor has gone through a lot in the past. Same as he's not in therapy. I think he might benefit from it if he could get it, but he's been in physical therapy for physical issues. June, right after I started getting some help, much needed help. June of 2023, he threw his back out.
Oh boy.
He worked for a company that installed kitchens, and he's a little guy. He's 160 pounds maybe. And he was a foreman, so he wasn't supposed to be he was supposed to be managing different parts of the project throughout a house or throughout wherever. He wasn't supposed to be doing that anyway. Well, he was, they were understaffed. So being the type of guy he is, he didn't just sit back with a beer and watch as a foreman can do in Florida. He jumped in and helped, and he threw his back out. I don't think he stood straight up ever since.
No kidding.
That's 15 months ago.
Wow.
Surgeries, therapies, meds, you name it. He's doing it just to get a life back. And then this hit.
Mm-hmm.
And, that went over as far as the life, like a fart in church. And it's when Helene first came through, I could tell he was broken down emotionally, as was his wife, And they're further along than I am in the demo process. They had a team in over the weekend, and I think some of them were here earlier today. And just seeing some of the things that are sentimental, getting ripped out of their home beyond any sort of repair. I've got a poster signed by the entire cast of Casino Royale, a James Bond poster, signed by Daniel Craig, signed by Eva Green, signed by Judi Dench, signed by, I forget what his name is, but the director of it, who directed it. And it's water damaged, but I might be able to save that. In most Secret Service related things are either high enough above the flood or not in the area where it would have been any sort of serious damage. Point being, with sentimental things, my biggest loss were stuffed animals related to my dogs. Considering why I got some of those stuffed animals when my dogs were in surgery or suffered from pneumonia a couple times throughout his life. It was a lot of not fond memories, but things that I'm grateful for. Moby had 12 years and 13 days of a great life. Gave me 12 years and 13 days of a great life. Matrix is passed out at my feet right now.
And the puppy.
And Shady has earned the new carrier of the house title, Little Shit. And she's taken that from Matrix, and Matrix is now Big Dog.
Big Dog and Little Shit. Okay.
Yeah. And his brother's smiling down on him because Moby was Big Dog. That was his brother. And so he's smiling down, standing on the Rainbow Bridge and looking at both of them. Well, yeah, they're my buddies. And that's why I'm going to, regardless, I'm going to evacuate. We don't know what the actual trajectory is going to be. And you heard Eric Stone from WFLA say that it could come up this way. It's not likely, but it is a possibility. I can't roll those dice. Comes up this way and brings that storm surge as a Category 3 hurricane, I'm dead. That's it. I've got nobody here to help me. All of my neighbors are gone because they can't live in their place, just like me. I'm just, camp. It's just me, so I'm camping in my garage. My son, since the beginning of Helene, has been, thank God, and for them, has been with his girlfriend's family.
Well, don't you're not saying you're staying in that location if and when the storm comes through. You're going to get in your van again and go to St. Pete, right?
I'm not saying no, I'm definitely not going to St. Pete because that's where it's going to be the worst.
Right. Okay. Well, you know what I meant. I mean, you're not to
No.
escape somewhere safer.
St. Pete is south of me.
Right. And that's
Closer
where the
to the
storm's
eye.
coming from. Yes. I
And
understand.
so
Yeah.
they might not get the surge because they still might be north of the eye, but they're still going to get way heavier winds than I will and heavier rain. My target locations are going to be inland to avoid any surge, and also north to avoid as much of the wind spread as possible. Now, if you remember that diagram, I might actually be going right into it on some level, because inland and slightly north, really just due east of here, is Orlando.
I'm going to be your mom for a second and ask you why you are still sitting where you're sitting and not in your van heading north.
Because it's too early to actually make that decision. Unless I'm driving 5 hours to go to the Panhandle,
yeah,
or to Alabama,
yeah,
it's too early to make that decision. And by the time I get halfway to any of this storm is moving so fast that by the time I get halfway to any of those locations, it'll be time to turn around and come back.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know. I don't know what his wife's name is. Do you know a man named Bo Horn?
I do not.
He's a Boyertown native. I remember him.
I remember Horns, Jeremy and Jennifer, but that's
I don't
decades
know
ago.
What family? Yeah, Bo. I knew him because he played slow pitch softball with my dad when I was a boy, young kid. And that's what I remember him for. I remember his wife. I can picture his wife. I don't know remember what her name is. They offered their place. They're over on the Space Coast. And like, well, one, it's coming to them. It's not going to be that much of shelter, and they're going to have their own problems. And two, by the time it gets the 2-hour drive to cross the state, at least 2 hours without traffic.
Right.
No, it's 2 hours to Orlando.
Right.
That's at least 3 to 4 hours to get across the state. And because Orlando's a bullseye, it's dead smack in the middle. It's time to turn around and come back. For the amount of time that I'm going to be out and camping, like I've done already, I'm better off finding a closed bank and sitting in the drive-thru, or some sort of other like utility area that has loading docks, and I can actually back into the loading dock where it's lower than the rest of the landscaped area. Even if I don't have something directly over top of me, it gives me something, depending on which way the wind's coming from. It should be out of the east because of the rotation of the storm counterclockwise, and we're on the northern side of it. As long as that building is also to my east, I'm protected. And then it's just a waiting game.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just come right back. Because if it continues, regardless of where it hits Florida, the trajectory is... Oh, do we have somebody else here? We might have Mars in. No, it's just you, me, and okay. The trajectory is straight across the state. Regardless of where it hits on the coastline, it's straight across the state. Mm-hmm. So it's not any of the 90-degree turns like Ian did. It was able to do that because of constant wobbling and because it was out over its source of energy, the water.
Mm-hmm.
Once it hits the only reason it's going to stay a hurricane once it gets back to the Atlantic is because it's moving so fast.
Mm-hmm.
But Bo and his wife are still going to be having hurricane conditions there. They're going to have enough of their own problems.
Well, as your alternate mom, we just want you to be safe. Never mind, wife one.
That was the lesson that I learned from Adalia.
Mm-hmm.
Was what am I going to do here?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Don and Nan, my next door neighbors who did stay for Helene too. And that's why I think they were so shaken up, because they're in their house in waist deep or higher of water.
Good Lord.
I mean, where do you go now? They had a guy staying with them, our friend Todd, and his dog was staying with them. Todd, who's a big boy, was sitting on their kitchen counter and took up the entire counter just by himself. Where are they going to go?
Mm-hmm.
He's sitting there with himself and his pit bull on the counter, just watching pillows floating by.
Yeah, and it's not like you have a second and third story to go to.
We've been talking about that. Oh, I will.
Yes, I know.
That's the plan.
Yeah.
Because I was here last year for Adalia, and like I said, I'll never make that mistake again.
Good.
Back
Good. Good.
I was here last year for Adalia, and I should not have been. There's nothing you can do.
Mm-hmm.
Prepare as best you can for the conditions that you know are coming, and go.
Mm-hmm.
There's no reason to stay.
Mm-hmm.
Stupidity is the only reason you would stay when you're in one story. I've got hurricane windows.
Mm-hmm.
I'm convinced I would at least be protected, especially for a storm. Should any window be punctured, I would be protected well enough that the inside, nobody's going to get inside. We're not going to be by a window anyway.
Right.
That's real easy to figure out, especially once it breaks. But the new house is going to have a room in the center that is windowless.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a big ass walk-in closet.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be windowless. I have think of like a rancher, or just a one-story modest house, 3 bed, 2 bath, small dining room off the living room kitchen. Living room kitchen's kind of an open floor plan. It's open with those 2 rooms. Not everything is open. And then in the back is a separate dining room and like another living room that I call my bar room.
Mm.
Off of that is the 3rd bedroom. That's the studio.
Ah.
And in the front of the house are the first 2 bedrooms. They're off the living room.
Mm-hmm.
And on the opposite side is the garage. And actually, the main bathroom is also an addition.
Mm.
Telling you all that because they're all, with the exception of the kitchen, they're all perimeter rooms, which means they all have windows.
Yeah.
And it's a 1-story like all the other 50-year-old houses here.
Mm-hmm.
So there's not much else to it. My attic is about probably 3.5, 4 feet tall, maybe at the peak. What I've already talked to the county building supervisors, or about county building inspectors, I'm trying to get a hold of a general contractor that my neighbor used for his house.
Mm-hmm.
The building inspectors love him and his wife. It's kind of like the Yogi and Susie of my county down here in Florida.
Mm-hmm.
And he is also a structural engineer and an architect. So for him to draw up the plans would be a lunch break.
Mm-hmm.
But I would be a unique and new setup in that anybody who says they're going to build up does either a level of the house and builds a brand new house, or they actually spend the money to take the existing house and lift it up onto different pillars, and just in stages lift it to in this case 12 feet that it needs to be.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to gut the first floor, make it essentially a finished basement.
Mm-hmm.
Where I'll have storage, simply made beds. Think like plastic pipe with mattresses. My niece and nephew and their friends or other family come to stay, and the actual guest bedrooms on the floor above are taken.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have to send somebody to a hotel.
Mm-hmm.
I can sleep down here while somebody uses my room.
Mm-hmm.
point of that is it can't be what they call living space, meaning that there can't be a kitchen,
right,
bathrooms, because that's why you demolished it. We'll see how that turns out.
Is Dad coming down to supervise the construction?
This is the joke.
Oh,
after Helene was coming through, Dad steps up. He will be, but Dad steps up, says, "I'll be as soon as Helene's here. I'll be right down." We had no idea how true that was. His middle name is Milton, which is the name of the next storm.
Right.
So Yogi's on his way.
Yeah.
Not the way we wanted. So, he is coming down. We're contemplating. He's saying, he wants to get like a flatbed of all kinds of supplies. He'll bring plywood. He'll bring this. He'll bring drywall. I said 3 things that will not be anywhere on my ground floor ever again: drywall, carpet, and wood. These walls are going to be something rock or stone or steel or plastic, especially if I'm in this level. I want to save the stone countertops and the bathroom stuff and things like that. Like because it made it through. There's no reason why you can't use that. And that's kind of the sentimental thing, is that I made it through Adalia, I made it through Helene, I made it through Milton, and these things made it with me. But yeah, the intent is so that when this happens again, because it's not yet.
Right. That's exactly right.
Something happens again. I need 3 things: a hose, a push broom, and a whisk broom. Maybe also a mop. And I'm done. If I can't build up, I'm still not putting wood cabinets in a kitchen. I don't care if I use stainless steel commercial kitchen setup. Fine. I can hose down stainless steel. So I'm setting this. I've been here through Adalia. I didn't have to gut or remodel anything because the flood came up to my front and back door. On Sunday, which one? Wasn't yesterday. Sunday, a week ago, Governor DeSantis, I took him on a tour he personally toured my property. He and our county sheriff and others toured my property. And I put my foot up on the wall, about 4 inches up the wall outside, right on the other side of that electrical box, right there, and that refrigerator. And I put my foot about 4 inches off the ground up on the wall, and I said, that was Adalia. And I took him over to this window there, where it was still muddy from Helene, and I showed him about 4 feet up the wall. I said, that was Helene. And I showed him the mud on the wall that's still there. And he just goes, wow. This was like no other. The guy who's the general contractor lives out on the water. I'm in what's called the fingers, meaning that, I've got a street out front and a canal out back. He's got a street at the front of his house in the Gulf of Mexico out back. He's right on the water. At 7 feet come through his ground level, which he doesn't have. His living space is he was built to be already elevated. He's got like 15 feet between his parking lot floor and the bottom of his first floor. He had 7 feet of water up those pillars. And that makes more sense because he has no protection
Mm-hmm.
right off the Gulf.
Mm-hmm.
You've got to get through 4 blocks of canals before you get to me. And it gets, fortunately, it gets slowed down. With this, it's supposed to be Category 3 when it hits. If it hits further south, the farther south, the better, because that means we'll be that far or that much more easily able to leave that ring that Eric Stone was talking about with these 60-mile-an-hour plus sustainable winds. And so, yeah, it's a waiting game. And my son messaged me earlier, talked about coming with boards and boarding up the house. I'm like, with what? I don't have a truck to go get the boards. I don't have money to buy the boards. And I doubt we'd be able to get them because everybody else got them already.
Mm-hmm.
I said, we're going to do what we can to tie things up, whether we got to tie up. Like my jet skis are still on the dock, on the floating dock. Those poles are essentially yanked out from the first storm. They're barely in the bed. I'm going to take the straps that are holding the poles in place and go through the actual holes in the dock. So that way, if they do pull the holes out of the canal bed, they're still going to be attached to
To the dock.
to the seawall. So, yeah, it's all about creativity. It's all about
Endurance.
yeah.
It's about hope.
Yeah, and I told him, I said, that's the other thing, we're just going to pray. That's the last step, the last box to check. So, and the kicker about this, we're in October.
Yeah, right.
Ian, Dahlia, Charlie before Ian, years before that, we're all in August. We get out of August, and we thought, okay, we're heading down the stretch. We're going to be all right. Then we get to the end of September. This little tropical depression down in the Western Caribbean develops. Oh, this might be something. Yeah, she was a Category 4 when she wiped out what's called the Big Bend. It's where the peninsula meets the Panhandle. For the third time in a year. Dahlia hit there pretty hard last year, really hard last year. Debbie hit there earlier this year, and now Helene. And I've got neighbors, and this was, if you followed up the middle for the past more than a year, since I had been inspired by Dan Bongino and company to do politics right. And even both sides now, since you and I partnered after I reacquainted with you when you were on Gary's show, the Backroom Show. I've never been a fan of Ron DeSantis, the governor of Florida. Not because he's a Republican. There's plenty of Republicans I'm very good with, especially now. The Cheneys, Romney, and the 300 others that have woken up and said, Trump's not the guy. But I still think he's got some fascist tendencies. He's homophobic, with the whole don't say gay, and wants to pick a fight with Mickey Mouse, of all people. His, at least initial leadership in crisis management has been pretty phenomenal. I don't think he's got the attention span to keep it, because the intelligence community, the insurance community, the insurance industry is still a shit sandwich. I'm not supposed to say it on the radio, but it's still not in good shape. You remember, Randy Schlesman told me about John McCluskey, who has property that was damaged 2 years ago in Ian. He is still trying to get that settled.
No kidding.
They're about to get decked again. And that's my whole point and why I'm going to build up, is because I don't want to do this again next year.
Mm-hmm.
I have neighbors that have not been back in their house from Adalia for 2, maybe 3 months. They've lost everything all over again.
Wow.
And because they rebuilt single-story houses just like this one. I saw that happen over the past year. I said, I'm not doing that. Why would you want to do that?
Mm-hmm.
Live here for 2 or 3 months, but you're spending most of that time rebuilding. And so we're the way we're going to build up is we're going to use the existing block wall and its existing foundation as part of the foundation.
Mm-hmm.
And then the contractor that I want to bring in, to be clear, he's not signed on yet. I have not heard back from him yet. Is also a structural engineer and an architect. And really, if all he does are the plans and the general oversight, Dad, Randy, and I will do the rest. And Zach and his friends from the skating rink or whatever, who already helped clean out some of us, we'll do the rest. And we'll build up on top of that. I was saying about only having 4 feet of an attic. Immediately above this first floor would be a crawl space, attic, whatever you want to call it. A second floor that by now code and living standards is not high enough. But I'm not living there. That's where the central air is. That's where pipe, ductwork, wiring, things like that are. And that way, they're easily accessible and repairable and maintenance in the future. And still, our living space is at a safe space. I want to build over my garage. I'm in the garage right now. It's a one garage. I want to make it a 2-car garage with tandem spots, meaning I want to build out into the driveway.
Mm-hmm.
And above that, I want that to be all block, obviously. But above that will be like the safe room, the panic room, where there's a separate circuit that can be accessed to the generator, left on when the rest of the house is cut off, whatever. So that when this happens again, I and some neighbors have a safe space to come to if we decide not to evacuate. Category 3, big deal. We're going to find out. And then after the fact, a place to live. I've been in line since Friday morning to get a trailer to live in during this process. Have not heard anything. They, well, keep calling. I keep calling, and they say, well, don't call us. You're on a list. They'll get to me. The person said to keep calling. So I'm getting it. It's not going to happen. We did better with cleaning out the garage, and I bought an area rug, 2 air conditioners, because the window unit behind me just wasn't working. It's not big enough. Now we got this thing. One of those things. Cut a hole in the garage door. Cut a hole in the garage door so that it vents out. I don't know why I said I wanted to leave. So, yeah, and this is my man cave. This is my studio. This is my bed. My air mattress that I just bought is over there. Not another air mattress that I've had, but I didn't want to rely on that in case, it's got to be aired out and whatever else. So, weather permitting, I'll eventually air that out, pump that up and air that out, and that's going to be where Dad sleeps. Next thing to get cleaned out is going to be the living room and kitchen. It already kind of is, but there's still water in some of the drawers.
Wow.
So, and then the refrigerator and the major appliances are still there. I found that water heater over in the corner on its side, leaning up against the wall. My washer dryer, which are now gone, were on the floor, tilted over on the floor. My 38, 42, something like that, inch wide refrigerator was on the floor. Yeah, I've had wine bottles that were stored in this corner of the house in boxes, wrapped up in paper and in boxes that I've had packed that way since I left DC. I don't have a place to open them. We're that way since DC. They were unpacked and standing upright in that corner of the house. And but by the way, the liquor that was in that corner of the house was up front. So there's no rhyme or reason to any of what these storms do. So yeah, I mean it's a waiting game. I'm going to take out outside and clean it up as best I can. Tie up things that I don't want going anywhere as best I can. All the outdoor furniture is still in this one cage. It's kind of a cage space that's secure enough that I think will keep it from blowing away, as everything else so far. And yeah, move everything else away from the windows and do what we can, and then get out and just cross our fingers that it's still here when we get back. That's it.
That's incredible. That's incredible. So there's no telling either how long this hurricane season will last in 2024 in your area.
Their estimation is that this should be the beginning of the end. The end of August, beginning of September is really only halfway. But the weather patterns that have cooled so much off from these big hurricanes, and it's that heat that's what starts them in the first place. There's just nothing else left. So that network that we had on earlier, WFLA. Can you hear me okay, by the way?
Yes, I can. Every now and then you skip a beat, but it only a word or two.
Okay. So I think it's my headphones are turned down. That's all. WFLA, who we were playing before, I've learned so much about the weather from all of those meteorologists there, and JB, the poofy haired guy, the younger dark haired guy, is young, and I don't know if he came from another market or came right there out of college. He had the foresight to realize that TV news is not going to be on TV. It's going to be on social media. And he proved that to the network, which is NBC, to them at WFLA. And he said, we need another newsroom. I'm not saying kill your 6 o'clock news. I'm just saying there needs to be another newsroom, as you saw, can go live to an audience who wants to choose to watch it without cutting into afternoon
regular program. Yeah. Or
Oprah Winfrey.
Well, let me ask you something. I mean, as far as up the middle is concerned, I believe you said in one conversation with me that it hadn't been on the air for a while. So are you back to your political broadcasting at all? I mean, I can't imagine that you are, but
we are. Yeah. We couldn't. I wanted to get up last Monday, having missed.
Right.
I forget, Thursday and Friday of the previous week. I wanted to be back on Monday,
Mm-hmm.
and I just couldn't get everything set up here. I had no internet yet. I have a brand because my router was fried in the flood. I had to get Frontier out to get a new router.
That's amazing that they responded.
I scheduled that Wednesday. They offered Thursday.
Wow.
Thursday afternoon. I was back on the air Friday.
No kidding.
Yeah.
So that's another crazy situation and getting crazier by the day. I told Paul when he left the house this morning, I just feel something's coming. And
well, somebody is coming.
Yeah, to Reading, to the Santander area, to day after tomorrow. So
What?
Yeah.
What's
Pardon me?
coming to Reading? What's coming to
Trump.
Reading?
The Orange Man. Yes.
Oh.
Yes. Yes.
Well,
yes.
good way to
And
segue that conversation.
Berks County loves him. What can I tell you?
Somebody who does not talk politics.
There she goes.
Time for Mirror Mirror Mondays.
Is it? Very good.
Whenever
Very good. What I can leave you. I can leave him to you.
Lucky me.
Good to see you.
You too.
Well, yeah. So, in short, I will be evacuating. I don't know if tomorrow's show is going to be or not. I don't know if Wednesday's show is going to be or not because of both weather or conditions here. I'm going to try to do. They're both hour shows, so I'll be done sooner, and I can try to be packed and ready, and then just take down the computer stuff and out we go. But that's dependent upon me seeing the rest of the weather reports over the next couple of hours.
Very good. Well, hopefully we'll see you somewhere. I'll see you somewhere next Monday.
Yep. Oh, definitely. Somehow, some way.
Okay. Have a good show.
All right. Well, you're Jane Stahl.
I'm Jane Stahl.
And I'm Yergs.
And now and again, we're both sides now.
Yep. All right. For this part, we'll see you again next week. I will try to be back tomorrow. And now Mars and I are going to chat for a little bit, and then we're going to wrap up.
Okay. Be in touch. Take care. Be safe.
How about everybody up in Boyertown?
All right. Bye-bye now.
All right, thank you. So, how's your morning?
Pretty busy, and the more I spend time on social media, the more I realize there are a lot of people I don't want to talk to.
Yeah, I've come to that realization too.
Yeah,
I think I'm done asking anybody a chatter for the desktop version of that application.
Oh, I could probably get it for you.
If that application gets swept away with Milton, I could give a shit.
That's not nice.
I have talked with Nelson, Jonathan.
Message Kim Green.
They all talk a big game. Oh yeah, message me and we'll get you set up.
They're super busy, Ross. You know, they're bootstrapping that whole thing. So maybe
I know what that's like.
Maybe reach out to Kim Green. Ask her if you can have the desktop version. Okay. For as long as it's going to be available, because at some point the app will go out of beta, and then where did you go?
I'm actually looking up. I'm trying to think of somebody, and I can't think of his name. Oh, I'm logged out. Oh, we'll screw this then.
Yeah. Or talk to Nozzle.
Who's the name you just mentioned?
Nozzle. He's the guy who built my page, marcello.com.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Actually, here, see if this is helpful.
Got it.
See if that helps. I'm just speculating. I don't have any use for it right now, but maybe that'll be helpful to you. it has been available for a bit, but Kim is the person that we would go to, or Helene, or Nouzle. Yeah. See if that's helpful.
Is that step number 6 on that? Is that the desktop version?
I
Is that what
haven't
it's talking about?
looked at it. All I did was copy and paste it for you.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
All right.
You're asking the wrong person. Reach out to Nouzle.
No, good. Yep.
Okay.
So, Mirror Mondays. How's your Monday looking and the rest of your week?
Well, I don't know if I told you, but I applied for school.
Yeah, you had mentioned that previously.
Yeah, so let's see what happens in, this process. It's funny that a person like me, someone who is here, I have something for you. I know that we can't see it on the radio, but here you go. I am now doing my holiday parties. So if you want to schedule me for Halloween, for an office party or a house party, reach out. And if you want a later party, Thanksgiving, Christmas, or New Year's, I'm available.
Very cool.
Yeah.
We talked before I went on the air. You were about to get ready and everything. You said you also had a inquiry about a reading.
No, no, don't want to discuss that here because this person is super sensitive, and if they were to log in and hear this,
yeah, absolutely,
basically, yeah.
No.
But I get readings. I do get. Sorry.
Just want to know that your readings are progressing and such.
They always have been. I just took a long time off. When I was sick last year, recovering from that illness, and then family dynamics changed. My son moved out and my goddaughter moved in, and Luna is graduating in June from middle school. So there's a lot going on. I need to get her a saxophone. She just picked up a sax at school. So she's got one to practice at school, but she doesn't have one at home.
Wow.
Yeah. So I am manifesting a saxophone, hopefully a brand new one for her. So that
Very
she
cool.
can, yeah. I mean, this is what I do. I start talking about it. And it's like the last time I said to someone, she needs a laptop. And some guy I didn't even know said, I have one I've never used. And he sent it to her. That was about 4 years ago.
Nice.
Yeah. That's what people do. People can be kind. So if anybody out there has a saxophone they're not using or can afford to buy her one, let me know. I know that they're pretty expensive.
I clicked on that link that you sent.
Yeah.
In that was Join Chatter Pro.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, it doesn't work.
Well, I don't know. Just giving you what they have in there, but reach out to Nouzle.
Yeah, we'll do.
I'm not, I don't get paid for that.
I don't either.
Busy.
That's my point. I've got 25,000 people that listen in Atlanta, plus, because I don't know how many people are on the other station there, the internet station. I've got 30,000 people here in the Tampa Bay area, plus London. I mean, I don't want this, but my point being, why are you not kissing my ass to get on me to use your platform on the show? I don't want that. I don't want people to kiss my ass, but I mean, they're making poor business decisions is my point.
I am not going to make commentary on that, and I don't want to talk about it. That's not my thing. That's their thing, And I'm just enjoying the space, just like I enjoyed the other space, and I enjoy others, Yeah.
It's just frustrating. I'm trying to help while I'm surviving 2 hurricanes.
Yeah, no, and you know what? And I appreciate that. I can so appreciate that. But at the same time, if they haven't reached out, then why beat a dead horse?
Yeah. I'll find somebody else.
Who?
I don't know. I found them.
How did you find them?
I don't know. What was her name? I got to think. I'll get back to you.
It was probably me. I probably told you all about it.
No,
Yeah.
you gave me the link. You gave me the
Hello.
link.
Well, there you go.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, you're being facetious.
I'm being a dick. You can say it.
Oh, okay. We're not on the radio anymore. Okay, you're being a
No, we
dick.
are, but for another 22 minutes.
Speaking of which, I had this weird encounter with somebody this morning who I thought was a nice person. Now I'm like sitting here going, how do I process this? Because in my autistic brain, I kind of took it in a way that maybe I shouldn't have, but at the same time, maybe he just didn't mean it that way, because he's a very nice person. But he was saying the word ciudad, which is city.
Okay.
Ciudad. Ciudad. But he said, see you dad. And I said, hey, soften the first D in that word. You got to soften your D's in some of the Spanish words. He goes, I need you to help soften my D's. And I went, what? And I just, but he just kept on rolling with the conversation like it was nothing. And I had to leave for another reason. And I sat there going, did he just say what I thought he said? And someone else laughed, and then I left. So I don't know where the conversation went after that. I would like to think he was innocent. He was joking. But at the same time, I said, wait a minute, what the fuck?
Yeah, I've come to the conclusion, especially being in my early 50s now, that if somebody wants to flirt with me and say something inappropriate, knock yourself
out. He was flirting, Ross. I don't think he was flirting at all.
You don't see where I think he was going with it, though?
This is what I'm telling you. I usually miss social cues, but this time I said, wait, what? And then I had to go. But I don't think that he was flirting. I really, really think, not literally, I'm not going to use that word. I promise Luna I would stop using that word. I genuinely believe that he meant he would need my help with his pronunciation in Spanish.
Oh.
Not the other way. He's a married man and he talks about his wife often. I don't think he meant it in the way that we took it. And usually I don't take it that way. Usually I'm the one who's saying, oh, okay. And then they're like, do you know what he just said to you?
In those situations, that's why I think it's even funnier, is because it's like when you get a little kid to swear, they don't know what they're saying, and it's quote unquote cute.
It's not cute.
Yeah, he was saying something that had a sexual innuendo, and he didn't know it.
He didn't mean it. Yeah.
Yeah, and so you can laugh at him and just give him a big bro hug later. It's all right. We forgive you, even though you have nothing to be forgiven for.
So, oh my God. So, yeah, so that was my morning, plus listening to people talk. I want to make rooms. I want to do this. It's like, do you have your life put together that you can spend the entire day on a social audio app? I don't, which is why I'm not there all day. And people are, hey, I haven't seen you around, because I have a life outside of here.
Yeah. Yeah. And do you know who I got into a pissing match with?
No.
Last week or the week before? I think it might have been right before Helene. This big investor, influencer, guy named Grant Cardone was on the app. And he made some comment about he was trying to cut up Jonathan, who was doing a fair job moderating his own room. And it's his room. If you don't like the way he runs his room, get the hell out.
Grant Cardone likes to think that he runs the world.
Yeah, exactly.
I've read him before.
He still owes me my 15 minutes with him to pitch whatever I wanted to.
Why are you wasting your time?
Oh, I'm not.
So he doesn't owe you anything. You just.
I didn't say. Well, he said he would. He said I would. I paid whatever $50 to be in the online seminar or whatever it was.
You paid.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Maybe you should make a reel about that. I paid this for this and did not receive it. Thanks, Grant Cardone.
Yeah. And so
maybe that's how he makes his money.
And I probably said things that were perhaps inappropriate because.
Oh, no, not you.
Yeah, maybe it's known to happen. I'm in therapy, but hey.
Get the fuck out of here.
So he gets. Jonathan shuts off this one guy, TC, I think it is, who weeks before that didn't believe I was in the Secret Service. And Dylan stepped in, who I didn't even know was in the room, steps in and says, hey, I know this guy. He's the real deal.
Dylan's an angel. Oh no,
Yeah.
you're talking about the other Dylan. No. Sorry, not
I'm
Fritz.
talking about the dog trainer Dylan.
I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
I've heard other people bitch about him. He's been cool to me, and he's been fair.
Okay.
He's been genuine to me.
Okay.
I'm not saying stories about him aren't true, but is what it is. He
It's just
jumps
things
in.
I've witnessed.
Yeah, possibly. He jumps in and says, "Hey, this guy's the real deal." Since that day, TC has had it out for me. TC gets put down by Jonathan, and this, weeks later, and Grant Cardone thinks he's, the next thing coming, and he says, "Hey, you keep muting TC," and just because I'm blankety blank trying to talk in my room,
His own room. Yeah.
yeah,
I don't go to those rooms.
and so I step up for Jonathan because I think he does do a fair job. When he's speaking, when anybody's speaking, they shouldn't be interrupted. I think that's the issue with having a room like that. You got 50 people that have the capability to speak, and you don't have to raise your hand.
He's got this ability to mute everyone in the room if he wanted to.
Yeah, he did.
It's his room. Okay. There's a
is,
mute all button on there when you open up your rooms. So, I mean, you know what the problem is, Ross? And this is what I'm getting from this. It's drama. And people like drama. So they're all going to be excited to go into that. This is why this is what I was talking about earlier. I don't have the desire to be there. I'm not afraid of missing out on anything. It's not for me.
Yeah.
And I can't understand why you still go in there.
Oh, it's practice.
For what? Are you running for president?
No, for when I'm in a room like that or my own show.
Who do you have to contend with on your show?
Well, now that I've actually got listeners.
But who do you have to contend with? It's your show.
Yeah, well, that's the point. And that's what I was trying to support Jonathan with. But Grant says something about, in his efforts to talk down to me, he says something about that's why I don't get any pussy. And I'm like, dude, I'm gay. I don't want any pussy. And so he starts saying some homophobic things.
Of course he did.
I went ballistic. If you live in we just got an emergency alert.
I hear it.
If you live in emergency zone A or B, I'm trying to shut it off.
What's A or B?
It's certain zones along the coast.
Yeah.
Where I live. And now I lost that somehow.
It'll be back. He was just talking about the emergency broadcast system this morning and the reason that it's not on television anymore.
Oh, it's not?
No one has seen it for a while, but let me explain why they haven't seen it. Because they don't watch television anymore.
Yeah. Hello. I get all this to my phone and I love it.
That's the other thing. I said, most people, I'm going to say 95% of the United States has a smartphone. So if there's an emergency alert, where is it going to pop up? On your smartphone.
Now my landline phone's ringing. I bet you that's what it is. Yep.
This is exciting.
Yeah. They know to call my landline phone too.
Okay.
I mean, it's modern technology when it works is awesome. So I didn't mean earlier to get into the reading that we talked about earlier.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But just the whole point of Mirror Mirror Mondays is to exposure.
Yeah.
So do that.
Which is why I sent you that flyer. That little banner that was made for me to advertise my parties. I did parties last year. It's been a while. I took a couple of years break on and off, but now I'm back at it and I do corporate events. I do house parties for the holidays, Halloween parties, birthday parties. I even got hit up for a wedding, but I did not attend. So a lot of people are very, that's it.
There you go.
Can you zoom in on it?
See if I can. Oh, no, that takes out the.
It's a little bit better.
Is that better?
Yeah. That should say, yeah, it does. It's cool, right? Angelica made that.
Yeah, that's good. Book your Halloween tarot reader now. Party rates $350 and up, 2-hour minimum. Contact info on the website, marcella.com. 2 C's, 2 L's. Phone 347-538-6455. We'll do that again, too. Do that before we leave.
Well, yeah, things have been picking up again. I have been booking a lot of clients. It's just that I also have to start, I have to figure out something better than Calendly to send to my clients for booking, because Calendly only
I've had
allows
issues with that. I miss appointments.
Well, Calendly only allows me to book half-hour readings, and I've got 60-minute readings as well as 10-minute readings. So it's hard for me, and I'm trying to. If anybody has a suggestion, I need something that I can add to my page where
I've
people
got
can
2
book.
people that I'm going to talk to for you. One is
Okay.
David Beckmeyer from Yerg's Radio, from Outrage Overload.
Okay.
He's got something that he uses, and I don't think it's the same thing as Thomas, who
Ross,
runs.
can you get out of those pictures on the bottom?
Oh, I think so.
Yeah.
Find out.
See the stream on the bottom of those pictures?
Yeah, I can't find the actual photo though.
Yeah.
Well, let's just do this. Stop sharing.
Okay.
I'll bring that back up later, and I'll make sure that.
Yeah, those are personal things I share with you.
I was going to say, did I see your nudes there and not realize it?
Oh yeah. Yeah, the ones where I'm pole dancing naked too. So
there we go. It's good. It gets a little exercise too. You know, that's an actual physical fitness class, pole dancing.
I know. I'm looking for one in New York. I got a lot of things I'm working on here. I need to develop a retreat for my students, but their minds are going to be blown away when they realize it's not any type of, like, we're not going to go into the woods and mix, potions and shit, because that's what most people think I do.
Right.
I don't even live by the woods. I mix potions here in my apartment. All this is Luna's, FYI. This is Luna's corner.
You go into the hood and mix potions. That's your word.
Luna's corner. These are all her crystals and art supplies that she used to make things. Behind me are all the DVDs people have sent her, and over there is the children's bookshelf. I have another shelf further down that is all adult books, or things that she's not ready to read yet. I don't want to say adult books because then people assume I have. Right. Yeah. No, right. It's just, Stephen King and
oh, right on.
Patterson, Sure. Yeah. So, so that's that. That's me. Oh, my new podcast on autism. So, Creative Con. Who is going to Creative Con in February?
But me, I'm not paid for it yet, but I've actually got money coming for it now.
Yay.
But your podcast on autism, that's under the umbrella. That's all of you, right?
Under the umbrella, that's me, Soda, Sonia Chand, and Ryan Permison. And we are 4 adults with autism who come from 4 different walks of life.
Right. But there was you were doing the logistical issue in getting everybody together.
It's a challenge. It's a challenge. So you may not see all of us at the same time any longer. And now we're looking for a better platform than Instagram. We love Instagram. But if we want to have a guest and the 4 of us are there, then it makes sense that we would find someplace else, maybe YouTube, where we can all, log in together and be able to have our guests.
Putting any money into that platform?
Sorry?
Are you putting any money into that platform?
We're not putting anything into anything yet because we need to get our shit together.
I think there's a free version of StreamYard.
Oh, there is.
Yeah. Okay. I love StreamYard. It's just that when I started adding more destinations, they couldn't handle it like they thought they could, and there was lagging. And so I'm on now.
That's my problem with StreamYard. Too much lagging.
Yeah. So you had it too? Okay. Yeah.
Well, my first podcast experience with He Who Shall Not Be Named was on StreamYard. Because he couldn't handle Zoom. He would constantly complain, it's too hard.
Well, Zoom doesn't have the best audio, to be honest about that.
Well, that's funny because Sonia Chan does hers on Zoom, and her audio is pretty fantastic.
Okay.
I think it's different, and maybe it's, maybe it's your internet, maybe it's your location. I don't know. I don't want to speculate. I'm not a technical person.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah.
So, what I would recommend, point being, whether it's StreamYard, Restream, which is what I'm currently using, although that might be changing. I don't like Riverside, the user experience for streaming. I just don't like Riverside.
I've never used Riverside.
Riverside.fm is that one, and Restream is .io. There are free. You don't have to put any money into it. And as a result, of course, you don't have as many destinations you can stream to, but it doesn't sound like you're trying to, reach the whole world through different networks. You just want to reach them through your message. You can add to your Instagram. You can add other platforms, Facebook, wherever, so on. And the thing about what these do is that if you are the host, just as far as the Restream goes or whatever platform goes, and you bring on Sonia and everybody else as guests, they can add their destinations too. So while you're limited to two or three destinations as the host, you can now add 8 other destinations, because even though they're co-hosts and with you every week, they're technically listed in your operating system and your user experience as guests, and they can each add 2 destinations.
How does that work for our screens?
It's you see exactly like what you're looking at now, and so does everybody else. So instead of you advertising or you broadcasting to Marcella_Palooza, and that's it. It's now going to yours,
right?
And Ryan and Sonia and Soda and their 2 channels each, and it's the same look and feel that you're seeing right now. It's just that many more. And so now you have a certain following. Ryan has a certain following.
No, I don't think you're understanding. So on Instagram, we're only allowed to have 4 people broadcast at the same time on the stage, 4 windows.
Right.
If I wanted to have a guest, I have to knock somebody down.
Okay. Yeah. So you don't have that issue. You don't have that issue with these other platforms.
Right. That's what I'm saying. So I need to find a platform where I can have unlimited guests.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want unlimited. 5, 6 people max.
But yeah.
Yeah. And that's where we're having the challenge.
Oh, I promise you, Restream allows that. The one that we're on right now.
Yeah, but I had trouble with Restream when I tried to broadcast while you were away. Remember that?
Yeah, because you were trying to use my logins and so on. If you set up your own account, it's going to be the same thing.
My own account. But we'll figure it out. Nothing is perfect. And,
or the other thing is, if any one of those other 3 are equally as reliable every week as you are, they handle that side of it.
It's my show.
Marcella doesn't like that idea. But what happens is, like, I can set this up so that as you're here with me as a guest, you also have producer capability, meaning you can switch back and forth to overlays and commercials and so on.
I thought we tried that. We couldn't do it.
I know. Probably.
So we'll figure it out. We will, as long as you don't float away.
Yeah. There we go. Noah. Just toggled something.
What's that?
I just toggled. Guests can control all presentations. So now you should be able to share your screen and so on.
Yeah, but I don't want to do that.
Yeah. Well, anyway.
What's the plus sign on the bottom for? Screen share, extra camera, local video.
Yeah, that's additional features that if you click that, it opens it up to.
Okay. Anyway. So yeah, anybody in the tri-state area, if you're looking to book a Halloween party with me, please reach out.
What are we? Oh, yeah, it is time to wrap up anyway.
It is. It is.
Bring that.
Also, I'm sending somebody your way
Okay.
to maybe have you assist with them beginning their podcast. They are visually impaired, and a real person. It's the other Dylan.
Gotcha.
I think that you would enjoy speaking to him. He's a very interesting human being.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm trying to figure that out so I can do that without all that stuff hanging at the bottom, and it's not. What I'll do is I'll save that, and I'll create an overlay with it.
Okay, cool.
Without the other
Thank
things.
you. Thank you. I'm going to go ahead and post it on Instagram.
I'll get it on social media and all that stuff too. So I've actually got another call that's also at 1:00. I forgot about that.
See ya.
Dinged.
Talk to you later.
So Marcella.com, MARCC, 2 C's, 2 L's, MARCCELLA.com. Go there, get your reading, please. This lady's amazing. Stop waiting. And also go to that same website to book Mars for Halloween.
Yep.
And any other parties you got, corporate, whatever, family gatherings, whatever
Christmas,
you got.
New Year's, etc. Yeah.
Worth every penny.
Thank you.
All right, my dear.
I'll see you later.
Next week, but definitely we'll talk. I'll give you an update on Survivor.
Cool. All right.
All right, my dear.
Bye.
All right. Love you. See you.
Love you. Bye.
All right, everybody. I have a 1:00. Somebody wants me on their board, and that might have been the. Oh, she's back, and she's gone. Somebody wants me on their board, and I've got that interview coming up, and then I've got to go meet with a sponsor. By the way, speaking of which, I know what the ding was. We lost 99 because because we lose them right at 1:00. So we'll take them off there. Yep. Boom. Apply. Okay. Oh, what a life. And I promise you, you know damn well, we'll talk about the hypocrisy that is the Republicans and everybody else there. So this just in, at least to us, over top of the Yucatan Peninsula, actually approaching the Yucatan Peninsula, Hurricane Milton is a Category 5. You're looking at my nose. Sorry about that. Hurricane Milton is a Category 5. And that's what's coming. Now, you are looking at my nose. So Marcella.com, check that out. Check her out. Worth every penny. She's told me so many great things, and she'll tell you the bad too. It is what it is, right? But she knows her stuff. She's good at what she does. Very good at what she does. I'm headed over once I finish this call, and then getting ready here for Milton. I'm going to be headed over to Momentum Fitness and Wellness Center in Jasmine Estates on US 19, Pasco County. That's my gym. It's been my gym since I've been here. And we work on a barter. So I don't pay for a gym membership anymore because I do ads here on Yerg's Radio and Up the Middle and wherever else for free. Well, it's not for free. He's paying me a gym membership. Me and any other folks coming in from Yerg's Radio and Master Media. But I don't say that because I get it for free. If the gym sucked, I wouldn't go there. I used to be an Olympic athlete and a professional athlete. And, in law enforcement, I used to fancy myself a badass there too. Well, Momentum Fitness and Wellness in Jasmine Estates is the place to maintain that lifestyle or get one. You want to get or keep that Hernando Beach body? Go to Momentum Wellness. Get your momentum back. I lost it. I've been in therapy. I've had some experiences and issues and so on. that I had to deal with, that I've been dealing with, and being back in the gym has been such a huge help. I don't have that Hernando Beach body anymore, or the Clearwater one, or the St. Pete Beach body, but it's coming back. The dad bod is leaving. I don't care how sexy they are. It's not sexy to me. I want my abs back. I want that rounded ass. And Anthony and everybody at Momentum Fitness and Wellness Center is going to help you get yours. Upgraded equipment, new equipment. You've got, I don't even know what they're called, plunge tanks, dunk tanks. Not the thing at the park where, you throw a baseball and hit a bullseye and some celebrity falls into the dunk tank. This is one of those, it's a plunge tank. It's the cold water thing. That's all the rage now. Not my thing, but for some people that works great. And hey, what is my thing is the heat therapy. That's what I love. And they have a sauna now too, that'll cook your ass nice and good. So Momentum Fitness and Wellness in Jasmine, I was having problems with it. It comes to, they're at like a crossroads of all different neighborhoods. Jasmine Estates, Bayonet Point, Hudson. Hi, everybody. This is Shady. She says, Papa, let's go outside and pee. It's been 2 hours. And Matrix is laying down there. But yeah, see how long is this taking? It's like 2 minutes for a 60-second commercial. Yeah, get your beach body back. Keep it. Get the momentum. Keep your momentum. Unlike this hurricane that we want to lose momentum and die out, keep yours. You be the next hurricane. Let's use your name at Momentum Fitness and Wellness. Also, what else we got? Creative Con coming up in February of 2025. CRE, C-R-E, the number 8, T-I-V-E, con.com, creativecon.com. That's where I'll be in February, and Mars will be there, and a bunch of other really experienced people. I'm there pretty much to learn, although I'm one of the speakers too. Yeah, I've learned so much from the people, Uncle John, Jules, everybody that's a part of that crowd. It's been a huge help for expanding Mastiff Media up the middle, everything else. If you want to get a hold of me, do so. News, N-E-W-Z, at Yergz, YERGZ.com. You can get us all there. You can reach Jane at Studio BBB, 3Bs.org, or the studio itself, studiobbb.org. Marcella, MARCCELLA.com, 2 C's, 2 L's, Marcella.com for get your reading. I'm telling you, she knows her stuff. It's seriously, it's not scary because she's one of the good guys, good gals. But wow, she knows what she's doing, and she's compassionate about it. So like if there's something negative, if there's something bad, she'll ask you if you want to hear it, and you can say no. I don't know why you would go something like that and expect to only be told you're going to win the lottery. Maybe not. Maybe you got something you got to deal with. And I think for that same reason, my aunt went to one years ago. I was a kid. And she comes home to my mom and dad's place afterwards and says, yeah, they were talking about, my family knows me as Rusty. They told us about Rusty. He's going to work for the federal government, and he's going to die a violent death. Yeah, I told you this story before. But this is what you can do with bad news. I don't want to die a violent death. At least, well, not now. Maybe if I'm going to save the world. But that's the point. I was like 8. I had no intention of working in the Secret Service. 0. I was going to be an NHL referee or Major League Baseball umpire. And what happened? I worked for the federal government. And when I realized that, while clearly I was still alive, I said, hey, I gotta be careful, because I don't want the rest of this thing coming true. And to this day, I'm careful. That's why when the time comes for this storm, we will not be here. We're leaving. Even if we park and camp out in the van for one night, we're leaving. And Mars has told me some things about finances and other personal things that came true this year. She only knows me since like last November or December, maybe. And in that reading, she told me some things that I already knew, like what I just told you about. And also, some really positive financial stuff that's working its way. Even if it wasn't, she just knew it was going to be big financially. And, here I am having lost my whole house. At least now I've got a plan for it. And it's not going to be a total loss. And that's why I stand by what she does. If you think there's no such thing as that, well, okay, then don't call her. Don't schedule her. Don't go to Marcella.com. But I'm telling you, worth every penny. All right, gang, that's it. We got to roll. I got to roll. I got to get some stuff done in prep for what's going to be happening. And I should see tomorrow. Plan on it. 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 Pacific, 4 London time, or 1600 hours London time. Although on London, it's actually not at that time, and it's a replay. Swap over to us here. Go to www.mastiff.media. I don't have that one up there. I got to add that. Right now. .media is an extension on web addresses. I don't know what to put in this bottom line. Okay, there we go. It's good enough. So go to www.mastiff.media. It's where you can find up the middle all our social media, all the radio stations, and when. That way, if you are in London and we're not on that day in London, you can find out where else you can get us instead of the UG.media. That's another .media, by the way. That's our London affiliate. And that's it, gang. I've totally got to run. I've got a phone call that should be ringing anyway. And another busy afternoon. Thanks for joining. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. You've been Up the Middle. We'll see you again tomorrow.